The abduction of girls from a school in Dapchi and the deadly attack on a camp for the internally displaced will not happen again. Strong words from President Muhammadu Buhari, but people are asking how it was even allowed to happen. Good morning. I welcome you to the platform. My name is Sam Omashe. Later in the program, I will bring you an interview I had with Yerima Shetima, the leader of the Arawa Youth Consultative Forum. This young son of Arawa stirred controversy last year when he led a group to issue a quit notice to Nigerians of the Igbo extraction living in the north.
He paraded himself as if he speaks for the Igbo. We see prominent Igbos coming out, the governors of Southeast, the organizations such as Ohanese, even Ohanese Youth Council, they came on board, and other prominent Igbo sons to say, look.
He also talked about the troubled Kaduna State. So much for you on the program today. But first, I bring you In Touch, my weekly column published in the Nation newspaper titled Perfect Stooge. The word perfect was a perfect word until it lost its innocence. Perfect used to be pristine and flawless. So we had a perfect soul, a perfect strategy, a perfect dream, and even a perfect society, even if that was in fantasy. Now, the mind of humans has now perverted things. Even in the scriptures, God told Abraham, quote, "Walk before me and be thou perfect," unquote. But that was when the definition of perfect was straightforward. We just had one with a man who loves to wear a cap and sport a smile and carry the air of dignity. He has succeeded to become successful in gerrymandering. To be a stooge is not to be a fool. It is a distinction. John Oyegun, former Edo State governor, if for a short span, APC chieftain, perennial hustler for relevance, and now APC chairman, is the stooge of the era, a perfect stooge. But he was clever enough not to stay in one corridor. He saw another master elsewhere. He's a perpetual obedient. And so he heard a call to service in the battle for the National Assembly. Swiftly, he joined the impunity that made Eleyimi Saraki Senate president. That was the day he became a new stooge. Give him the credit. He has perfected the art of anticipating who the master will be and how to ingratiate himself. Never mind that he has not been a great leader of the APC as an organization in any classic sense of a leader. Under him, the party, which was a hodgepodge to win an election, has now grown into a cohesive body, either ideologically or architecturally. It has been a loose bond of a body, governors at odds with the party apparatchik, president overthrown by lawmakers, state organs riven by the throes of ego and hero worship. In Kaduna State, the small man hews down a senator's house because he can. Meanwhile, a section of the party suspends the governor in a flourish that works only as spectacle. They know it cannot work, since the party at the center will nullify it, but tempers flare all the same. In Kogi, parallel escorts headline a party in which a besieged governor hedges his power because of an assurance in the center. In Benue, the party is in tatters over the Herdsmen's crisis, and he has no word to bring the party to harmony, or shall I say, to existence. It is virtually dead, that is APC, in Benue State. There's virtually no state where the party is not in crisis, including Oyo State, where Ondo State, where Governor Rotimi Akeredolu tries in vain to paper over the cracks. In Ogun, in Imo, in Oyo, the fire is coming next time. In Kano, Kwankwaso is looking at his political obituary, but he will go down with the Samson complex, tearing down the edifice with him. It is not because Oyegun has done a great job that he was given a year by the governors, because he has done a great job as stooge. He served lawmakers, served the president, served the governors, but he has not served the party, and that is why the party is in disarray. Power comes from above, but chaos from beneath. Historians will distinguish him, that is Oyegun, as the greatest failure as party chairman in Nigerian history of democracy since 1960. His is a paradox of a failure that gets another chance, which is actually the way of our democracy. We reward loyalty over principle or competence. The consequence of Oyegun is that he made the party a chaos so he can have the chance to lead it. If he were a good leader, he might not have earned a full and second term because he would have made way for another stooge. His stooship he will not share with anyone else. Oyegun is what sociologist William H. White described as the organization man. He works to keep his job by not rocking the boat, but by following rules. Oyegun has no liver, no lever, or conscience for such sublimity. So Oyegun is contented to be a stuffed puppy, squealing and barking any which way the masters point. After so much public outcry, President Muhammadu Buhari decided to visit troubled regions in the country, starting from Taraba State. Better late than never, some people say. In Taraba, he was confronted with the anger of the people in what looked like a town hall, though he did not do any on-the-spot assessment of the situation. He preferred to hold his town hall meeting in Jalingo, the state capital. The people challenged his leadership strategy and even questioned the sectional appointment of security chiefs. It now seems for the first time in a long time, the president is struggling to feel the pulse of Nigerians. Well, I have with me Charles Sijeho, good commentator of public affairs. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So what would you say about this presidential junketing?
Yeah, you call it junketing. That's what it seems to be.
It seems to be, yeah.
When you take a look at what he ought to have done that he didn't do, that he's doing now, it seems as if he was compelled to do what he was supposed to do without being asked to do it. Just as president all over the world, we always take a step to do certain things that are befitting that office.
Yeah.
But what do we have here? Our president has to be told what to do. Our president has to be reminded to undertake his statutory responsibility to the people. Our president has to be told to be fatherly to all of us. Yeah. Our president has to be told that you need to empathize, you need to sympathize, you need to condole people they're supposed to condole. That's the kind of president
you cannot fake empathy. Now
well,
it's going to go to...
There's a way to fake it. Then you look, but
when you fake empathy...
But there's a way politicians can fake empathy. Then you also empathize with them. So you
empathize with their empathy because you already know that they are really trying too hard.
But it's not better than even no empathizing at all. It's better. That's what I see. Because it's better than no empathizing. For instance, what happened in Benue on January 1, the president, as the father of the nation,
ought to have been there.
Ought to have been there to commiserate with his man who is there, who's like there is like his man Friday, so to speak. But what did he do? He rather chose the following day, less than 24 hours, to play host to some governors who wanted him to...
No, he played host to even elders of the state
who
invited themselves.
Over there. I mean, well, the question is, even in Africa, you know the way we treat traditions. When people are bereaved, what you do is you go over to them to commiserate with them, to condole with them. Yeah. But what did he do? He now summoned people who were bereaved all the way from Benue to Abuja State because of the Lord of the Manor has spoken. So what would the people do? The people have been cowed. People have been subjected to...
You go there so that he can tell you sorry.
Remind you, so...
President Muhammadu Buhari took his anti-corruption message to Ghana. He promised to collaborate with the Gold Coast country to fight corruption. But Nigerians are not talking about the context of the president's speech. Could this be a response to embarrassment caused by Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index that raised Nigeria at 148 and places Ghana at 81. The president was also in Adamawa to attend a conference of anti-corruption in what appears to be a deliberate move to counter a report that could batter the country's reputation globally. This, I mean, it looks like what happened in the PDP era when they said 16 was more than 19.
But you see, the thing is that we need to let the viewers know that the 148th position that Nigeria has been ranked is out of 180 countries. Then Ghana, 81 out of the same 180 countries. What do you 81? So it means that
How can you
180 position?
How can I pass? Can I pass an exam? I'm going to ask somebody who failed
to now be teaching you how to pass the exam. It doesn't make any sense.
That's why I said it looked like 16.
So people who went through examination, so somebody took 148 position out of 180 person.
And since you want to go and teach people.
Then the person who now took 81st, he said, come, let me tell you how to pass the exam. It doesn't make any sense. I think what the president should have done, or what you also have said, is that let's look for ways to collaborate with you, especially for the benefit of the sub-region, West African, so to fight corruption. Not to say we will fight. I mean,
the presidential spokesman said that, it was all concocted by the enemies of the government.
No, concocted?
That's what he said.
But how?
What's his name?
Femi?
No, not Femi.
Garba
Shehu, yeah.
Oh, come on. You know, these people, they always speak to the ears of the president when they want to be applauded. And that's the sad tale.
But he's not talking to fools.
That's what I'm saying.
Because Transparency International
do they know?
It's not a corruptible organization.
Do they know? Let me even say that
they know. It's deliberate. It's deliberate.
Because they want to play the gallery.
They want to have to say something. But the vice president,
to justify
the vice president replied in a very responsible way, saying that, well, we will try to do better. That's a more responsible way to
answer. Even though it's damage control anyway.
It's damage control, but so we'll try to do better. Minister of Agriculture, Audu Ogbe, should be licking his wounds after facts emerged that he lied about the collapse of 7 rice mills in Thailand. The ambassador of Thailand to Nigeria has come out to set the records straight. He says Thailand rice global export has actually increased, and the claims of the collapse of some rice mills cannot be verified. So the Minister of Agriculture has done what? He has messed up the message.
No, I think the sad point about this is that rather than rely on data or rely on certain facts, they speak based on emotions. You know, a lot of people have been saying, he's been doing a lot, but for me, it's not a lot on, the
people
sector.
that have been doing the lot, it's not even the minister.
So.
You talk about the CBN giving a lot of
incentives.
Well, we can say that it's part of the government.
But
it's the states that are really doing what?
Yes.
Maybe we have not got to the stage where we'll get bountiful harvest.
But he's taking the credit.
But we should not say that we're having bountiful harvest when we have not reached there.
Okay.
We have seen states that have been doing well. Lagos, Kebbi, the tie-up, Sokoto, Adamawa, Borno, and then in the Abakaliki rice, even the yam, it's good effort, but they took yam abroad and then they were all rotting by the time they got there.
How do you see the thing is, how do you even export those crude? How much money do you make from crude? Anything that is crude is crude. It's only the refined product that you make money because of what? Because of the value chains. What about the yam pills? What about the flour? You don't talk about that. You now take all your crude and you export them, and then they will now refine that and say and bring to you. You now be buying and then at a higher cost.
Okay, so on a lighter note, Nigerians have not been fair to the snakes, whether it's rattlesnake, whether it's the green snake, whether it's the python, whether it's the cobra, mamba, whatever you call it. That people have been making jokes all over the place that snakes are now carrying money, swallowing money everywhere. Where you go to the bush, you go and see a snake there, you say, oh, let me kill it, maybe I have money in it, and so on and so forth. Well, they have wrongly accused the snakes of complicity in the disappearance of 36 million from JAMB office in Makurdi. Well, investigation has commenced into the matter, and facts are emerging that the missing money was embezzled by a superior official. So that means that the snakes are probably vomited the money at the office of the exam body and not the snake. So let us give the snakes a breather. Let them slither and hiss in peace so that they can crawl to wherever they may, So anytime you see a snake, don't think about 36 million naira, or else, before you know it, to either spit at you or bite you.
I use the fang at you
And
and deposit the venom.
yes.
Oh God, quite
And,
curious.
thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you,
We
sir.
had
Glad to be
Charles
here.
Sidell with
Yes.
us on the News Mention segment. The people of the week are actually the owners of the various tanks, trucks that are all over Lagos, from Apapa all the way now to Surulere and different parts of the city. The Lagos State Governor, Akinwumi Ambode, in collaboration with the military, they have asked them to leave the bridges. Well, that's a good step, but that does not solve the problem. We need all of them out of town. We need them out of town. If you don't have any business in Lagos, don't be within the vicinity of the city. It is wrecking the city. It is wrecking the bridges. It is wrecking the roads. It is a drag on commerce. It's a drag on productivity in this town. You see, many of them, where they park their tankers and their trucks, that is where the drivers sleep, that's where they eat, that's where they defecate. And you wonder why Trump called us a shithole country. This is one of the bad things that we are doing in this country. We should not allow these trucks to be here. They should go anywhere else other than Lagos. If you spread them thin across the country, they will be free. When they have businesses, then within 48 hours, summon them and they can do their businesses and go. We're having this problem without even the refinery being set up. If we have the refinery set up, that will be a close down of Nigeria's most valuable city. It's unacceptable. Well, to my book of the week. My book of the week is Gandhi and Churchill by Arthur Herman. It's the epic rivalry that destroyed an empire and forged our age. The story is a very interesting book, well written. Herman is a beautiful man in the pen and has a lot of facts to give you. Tells the story of two unlikely men, Churchill, who came from upper class society, and Gandhi, who came from lower class society, and they had to contend in the heydays of the British Empire. This is quite a riveting read, and you will be rewarded if you get your copy. The big talk this week is with the vibrant president of the Arawa Youth Consultative Forum, Yerima Shetima.
Thank you.
You have been in the news for a while, and when you are not throwing a bomb, you are telling people to get out of here. What would you describe the state of the nation at the moment?
Well, it is sad this is not what Nigerian actually envisages. 2015, when there was an election, we thought the coming of a new government, and coming from an angle of an opposition, we thought they would have come with a better agenda and also begin to make certain impact in the life of a common man, because the essence of governance is to provide for the people, provide leadership, provide security, and also social welfare, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it becomes a reverse case. The level of poverty in the land, also lack of consistency in terms of the politics and so on and so forth, give a lot of us worry to begin to give a lot of us reason to get worried and begin to think that despite all what Nigerians has actually done, despite what Nigerians has actually demonstrated in 2015, the quest for a better society is not actually clear to us. And we think after 3 years, we still have 1 year, and yet the policy of this government is not clearly defined and there's no direction. So it gives every Nigerian a worry and a sleepless night, seriously. This is the position of things as it is.
As a leader of the Arawa youth, some people will be surprised that you'll be holding this position because a lot of youths really love President Muhammad Buhari.
But that
Are
was
you out of sync with the...
not really. It happens in 2015, but the way it is today, I think to an extent, a lot of us have a reason to begin to think and also to rethink and look at better options. And we are thinking that the best we could do this time around is not to begin to look at people at that age, which is one of my advocacy in recent times. We must begin to look for a younger people that must be encouraged to come into the scene of politics and also begin to see how we can project ourselves to take the mantle of leadership and see what we can do better than what is happening today.
I find it difficult to really agree with you here because when President Buhari was sick and he came back healthy, you saw the jubilation on the streets, especially in the north. There was ecstasy.
Well, it is natural that somebody is sick, you must pray for his recovery, and which was exactly why people are jubilating, because there are this rumor going around that he's dead, and some people find it as a kind of, especially the opposition to an extent, some of them believe comfortably that the absence of Buhari and also the demise of him, if that has happened, God forbid, it would have been another remedy crisis for them. Yeah. No, not really crisis per se. Some of them will have find a soft landing as regards to what they perceived as an attack on their personality because of the previous wrong they have done in the past. So to an extent, some people were kind of happy that the man would not come back and suddenly he will surface. So ordinarily every Nigerian would have reason, especially in other part of the country, to say, thank God our own is back.
So they're just happy not because they find that he's popular or not?
In terms of popularity, he was popular in the past, but really the way things are today with the level of average poverty in northern part of the country, I do not think if he comes to contest again, he's going to get that majority support. Like
let's look at what happened in Kano.
Okay.
This struggle with Kwakwanso and the crowd that he drew when they went there. And people were saying there's supposed to be a contest of crowd. Kano is supposed to be like a touchstone of northern interest,
sincerely,
of northern political movement and consciousness. And you saw that huge crowd there. So how would you put that with...
In fairness, let us be very honest. The crowd you see when Buhari visited last and the crowd he had before the 2015 election are quite different things. I am on ground, I am in Kano, so beyond just what you see in camera, I'm talking about practically. What we saw is not what we expect, really. One would have expected that if he has done well, Kano would have been massively on ground, but maybe camera sometimes, it depends on where you want to cover, what you want to see. So, but the reality on ground, he didn't get exactly what he expected. So
you believe so. Why? What are they saying?
The fact of the matter is that what do people want? People want to see change. People want to see a thing happening around them. They want to see certain developmental policies on ground. They want to see that the issue of poverty is a thing that would have, at least we cannot say a government is expected to make any magic to solve all people's problems. But to an extent, we should be able to begin to see some sign of relief. But you and I know it, whether North or the South today, the stories are not the same. And as a layman, I begin to get confused and I begin to wonder and I begin to ask questions. What is happening? What kind of policy is this that people keep complaining and over repeatedly things keeps happening? Is it a reverse case of what people expect that is happening in the government or what is actually happening? So
can you mention some of them? Let's look at the economy, for instance.
Economy, really?
Yes.
Well, as a layman, because I'm not an economics, but if you ask me, is anything happening there, I will tell you no.
The field of agriculture, for instance, it has helped to really galvanize
how practically is this issue of agriculture that we're talking about?
We have a lot of...
Is it the magic we're seeing, or is it the magic we just saw recently by the Kogi state governor who bought rice and changed the parks and do all this brouhaha, or what are we talking about? Or in reality, honestly, we still have a long way to go.
We have a long way to go, but there's a sense that there is a galvanization
in as
agricultural
much as the
activity.
government meant
the
well.
states are doing it. Whether it is Sokoto, whether it is
We have to be
Plateau,
specific. I
whether
don't know
it
which of the
is-
states you are talking about.
no, a
really.
number of states. A number of whether it's Kebbi, whether it's Lagos,
The Kebbi, the rice you're talking about?
rice, and then you have.
How does that in reality impacted positively in the level of Nigerian that
price of-
Nigerians are buying
price of
rice at the same
has-
high price?
No, the same price of rice has gone
They
down.
said
That's what they
just last week I bought it at the same price of 15,000. So
So you're saying that he has not done well, but what of the issue of the foreign exchange? Our foreign reserve
What was
has
it
grown
before?
to it's almost doubled to over 40 billion.
now how does that impact in the life of a common man in the country?
Yes, it's an opportunity for us to do something. Don't you
It is.
think?
Maybe we can continue to live on figment imaginations, and that's what
So
people
figures-
enjoy. But
so
the truth of the
we
matter
can't-
is
we
that
can't- we can't
as
live
the
on-
policy keeps going, one is expected that the government will also be finding a way to cushion the effect of those things so that people at least can get relieved. That's the practical essence of governance. But that you go on write-ups, on figures and whatever, does not in any way count
Statistics
fully.
don't translate into
don't
food on the table.
translate it into reality. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. What of the issue of corruption, the fight of corruption?
To me, if you allow me personally, on my personal view, I felt that we have not yet gotten there yet because there are certain things that must be put in place. One is that to us, some of us felt that this issue of fighting against corruption, even though to an extent you could say the government, the propaganda and so on and so forth, made a lot of people to have a rethink, and the consciousness is there before everybody in the country. But the fact still remains that this is not the kind of fight we expect. We expect that fight must be seen to be holistically, where even if he's a member of your party. Now, people find it so easy. If I'm found to be corrupt in 2000 and before 2015, I was opportune to be a minister or a governor, then the easiest way to exit or to be exonerated out of this hammer coming from this government is for me to come to APC. It's as simple as APC. And we have seen that happening, being demonstrated. And if you are perceived to be an opposition, then automatically you can be rest assured the next few days, if you raise your voice, you see men in black in front of your house, or you see certain characters in front of your place, and that,
So you're saying that
to an extent, is lopsided.
You're saying that Buhari's war of corruption is not different from Obasanjo's one when he was going after
No,
his
Obasanjo
enemies.
is calamity. To an extent, that's why I say to an extent.
Yes.
There's that consciousness. And also the propaganda actually has worked on the psyches
Some people
of
say it's
Nigeria.
just about collecting debts, collecting money you stole. Yeah, you're a thief. Okay, we know you stole, so bring this money. Just like the former chief of Army staff, stole a lot in billions, is returned in dollars and returning in naira.
Well, some of us are not privy to know how much they stole, but all we know is that there are certain things going around behind the scene that you just, that of the chief of army staff, I just read it. Was it online yesterday or 2 days ago?
Yes,
that he refunded about 1.7 billion
naira.
And then how much did he
Still
steal?
about billions.
So
dollars.
it doesn't
Those
make any
billions
sense.
in dollars.
But now you are refunding just a naira. So to an extent, it does not really make any sense. Some of us will have expected that if one is found guilty, face trial, at the end of the day, convict him, deal with him decisively, so that will serve as a deterrent to other younger generations who are coming also to learn that you cannot do it and get away with it. But if at the end of the day, the essence of probing somebody is to get him and also plea bargain come to play and other arrangement behind this thing happens, then somebody refund peanut to the government, but then it doesn't make any sense. The implication is that in the nearest future, the consequences will be unimaginable.
It seems that you have been critical about the APC, you have been critical about Muhammadu Buhari. You were also not very accepting of him even before he became president. You raised some doubts before then. Now, what is the alternative?
The
Even in the
alternative,
North, you say you want younger people. Have you seen any hope in that regard, or are you going to run yourself for president?
no, anybody can be president in the country. It's just that the level playground must be seen to be very smoothly for people to find it's easy to do what they are supposed to do. We have a system that actually do not encourage young people. Unless they are part of the same circles of leadership, it will be so difficult for you to come outside this same clique of people to get it easy. Even the Buhari case.
Because if you become part of it, you see as young, you're supposed to play some roles under them.
Because
And
they
you have
ask
to
you
wait
what to
because
do.
they want
Because
the
you have a
power.
systematic problem. The system is really wrong. That's why some of us are not
It's rigged
comfortable.
against young people.
Exactly. Beyond that, some of us have a serious issue with the issue of even the system of governance, that you cannot just put everything in Abuja. The strength, the capacity in Abuja is so much that some of us felt that if there's a need for us to also find a way, either through referendum or through amendment of constitution, whichever way we want to do it. Let us find a way to see how we can decentralize that central government in Abuja. Because with the powers in Abuja, the chances of me, who is not a son of an emir, the chances of somebody like me, who is not a son of a minister or a governor, will be very slim for me to be a political leader.
Yeah, so
especially where I come from.
So you are saying that your group is calling for restructuring.
We did.
What kind of restructuring?
Restructuring we called for. I was part of the advocacy for restructuring for over 15 years. I remember my role last was during the days of Pronaco, that I was a youth director under Olusegun Nkande and Anthony Nauro, and I played a prominent role in that circle. And I think the draft constitution we came out with has also, we proposed the issue of total restructuring, part of it, and also we insist that the kind of restructuring we're talking about is to, one, look at this angle of too much powers in Abuja may not really augur well. That people must have to go back to their various states or various regions to begin to be more productive rather than relying on oil money.
Yes.
That if at the end of the day we achieve doing that, there will be more competition. This was what was obtained in the early 60s, and we have seen the impact so far. And today, those people that were remembered during then, when they were leaders, was as a result of that system actually favored. So whether the system is an old school system or is a new school system, it doesn't really matter. What we want is the practical steps to see how.
They're calling for fiscal federalism, which means that the money has to break down. But it's not very popular in the north.
The advocacy,
fiscal federalism.
But that was what we got in the past during the founding fathers, and that was exactly what they did to get us what we have today.
Yes.
Tell me, what did they do?
But it changed. It changed during the military.
But the change was done by the military.
Yes.
And now we're back to democracy.
But people are saying that it was the military, and the military was under the control of northern political oligarchy.
Of what important was that to an average northern man, despite all this long still worship by northern military detectors? It was nothing. There was nothing to write home about that. And abject poverty, backwardness, illiteracy, and so on and so forth. It's only few of us that are privileged today that speaks and talk. We still have that problem. If you look at the standard of education in northern part of the country and that of the southern, you could see the gap is wide.
I did my youth service in Kano, and I taught at Aminu Kano Commercial College, Goronduse. And I saw the standard of education. Even in that school, most of the students there were from the southerners.
Most of them, the northerners are not even there. We still have the same problem even now as I speak with you. Go to AB and look at a lot of things happening. Even though in recent times there's a bit of change, consciousness and whatever, you could see even the married women now are gradually going back to schools. Children are being encouraged to go back to school because we realize that's the only way out of this poverty in northern part of the country. And oftentimes when I see people getting worried in southern part of the country, I say, you are living in paradise. Go to the north and see what is happening. That you are in Abuja. Abuja is not just a north. Go to the core north and see what poverty means. So it means the previous leadership coming from northern extractions have not done well. And it's the same thing we are experiencing even under this same administration, where certain ministries were given to certain people in favor of even the south, and yet even at this point that we have nothing to show for it than our brother who is at the ends of affair. Who is not totally in control of the government. People are doing their own. Why do you say it's not totally in control of the government? Of course, the man we knew, if truly is in charge of the government, certain things would have not been the way they are. And it is today.
Explain. People come back to the issue of governance. I mean, what do you think? You believe we are stuck? You cannot get any alternative than this.
If you say stuck is an understatement, because honestly, I'm confused and I get worried and I become more scared daily. And I wish I am one of those who only sit as Norman Malam, who just sit under his table and I only listen to radio. I don't get to see those things and I don't get to understand what exactly those guys are up to. It takes...
They don't understand. They just
listen.
But there's Hausa radio.
That's what I'm saying. But a lot of them only listen. I wish I'm one of those who just listen, that I'm not a stakeholder today, that I don't get to see some of those atrocities being committed in the country.
You know, what they hear is not what happens.
It's not real.
You know, the Hausa services, the Hausa radio, they don't really tell them the truth.
Even a common man in the southern part of the country, a lot of us are ignorant of what is happening.
Of course, I agree with you.
So that's the problem. I wish I could sleep just the way they do. But oftentimes you realize at 1, 2 o'clock, you woke up, you rose up, and you begin to get panic because you look at the consequences and what may likely happen.
Yeah. I'd like to get your take on what is going on in Kaduna State.
Between El-Rufai?
El-Rufai, Shehu Sani, Nkuyi.
Well, it's unfortunate, and that's my state. The way things are happening is really worrisome. You have a governor who eventually turned out to be a detector, completely detector. That's what is happening.
That he was also looking at himself as a heir apparent to the throne.
Which throne?
The presidency.
That would be, I think it's just an imagination. Of course, he has right to that, to his opinion and also the way he thinks. I do not think Nigeria will even welcome that idea, not to talk of Kaduna or Windi, not, of course. And I don't know what he will be remembered for than this his attitude that he has been doing over time. He finds it easy to come up or appear as if he's one very humble human being. And the moment he had no opportunity, he becomes a wild animal and begin to deal with people decisively. And that's what exactly he's doing. And I think politics to an extent shouldn't be the way he's doing it, especially in an area where people are very civilized like Kaduna. You can go down to the core north back, like places like KB, and do all those things you do. But places where you have an exposed people like Kaduna that is very central. In terms of politics, you have people that are very enlightened. In terms of education, you have very educated people. And in terms of radicalism, you have a lot of radicals in Kaduna than any other part of the north. Now you assume you are going to be pulling people as if you are playing a football. You won't go anywhere.
The crisis between here and southern Kaduna, what's your take on it? I mean, southern Kadunans are saying that, look, what is going on is pure pogrom. Well,
the case of southern Kaduna, he inherited the problems. Don't forget that during the McCarthy, there was that problems. Yes, and to an extent, he played politics and managed the situations to an extent. He's a bit calm, cool-headed man. He did his best. And subsequently, after McCarthy, there was Namadi Sambu, who also eventually becomes a vice president. Yeah. He played calm and played it politically, and it didn't become that out of hand, even to an extent. When Yakuwa came, there was a bit problems here and there, a lot of curfews here and there, many problems. He managed it at the end of the day before his demise. Then the former governor before El-Rufai also, to an extent, he's a calm, cool young man who also managed the situation. Suddenly you have a man who is not calm and cool, who sees things the way they are and strike anytime. And suddenly the thing becomes out of hand, and that's the way it is. And I think a place like Kaduna is very fragile, that if you are opportune to govern them, you must be seen to carry everybody along, no matter what. Not only Kaduna, this is expected that every leader should begin to look at issues the way they are, give equity, sense of belonging to people without undermining anybody or any section of the country. To an extent, you get exactly desired results you expect to.
How would you regard what the president said to the governor of Benue State when he said, talk to him, how are your herdsmen?
The governor?
Yes, the president told the governor of Benue State,
okay,
how
recently.
are your herdsmen? Do you think that was
an appropriate joke? There are more politics to this issue. No. Okay, we have seen just recently where there's issue of a governor demolishing an office, and he says
the bulldozer.
The bulldozer. So I think it's just part of fun. Maybe he looks at it as fun, but to us Nigerians, we don't find that easy because such things must not be encouraged. But the issue of herdsmen or whatever, to us we look at it that the mistake we will do is to align it or attach it or link it with issue of a particular ethnicity as actors playing a script. What am I trying to say? Where there is this narratives and also rumor going around that these actions are basically an agenda by a particular tribe in northern part of the country. I do not think it is right. No, that's what they said, but that's not true. There are more to it, and I expect that the government must be more decisive and look at it thoroughly. To me, if a crime is being committed, let us look at it as a crime and deal with people decisively as those who commit a crime, and they should be arrested. If you go into the matter, you discover that the Fulanis on their own, they're not really involved in these issues.
Who's involved?
Criminals, minded people, the bandits. You have them in any society. Anybody could have done that.
What has happened? Balata Kaya was here on this show a few weeks ago, and he was angry. He said, the normal herdsmen, they are really peaceful people, and that they are still peaceful people. So he said, but the federal government and the federal government and the security forces know what is going on. They don't want to do anything. And his own view is that you have criminals who come across into this country from the borders, and They rustle these cows. They said, these are errant Fulani men who rustle these cows and then take them as herdsmen to Lagos, sell them, at least in where there's a lot of buying, and take the money and get arms. And I asked him, say, so how do we distinguish them? He said, well, you have the normal herdsmen who are peaceful, and then behind them, you have another set of herdsmen who I call shadow herdsmen, who carry the cows, but they are armed, but their duty is not really to really sell cows, but to cause trouble. So he's saying that Buhari ought to get his security forces to get those people out.
Well, I'm happy to hear that he has all those facts before him, and I think he can always find a way to see the government and also advise them on what to do.
If he's frustrated, well, when they came here, he said that this man knows, they know, and they have done nothing.
Well, that's an assertion to me as far as I'm concerned, but the fact of the matter is that my worry is that we must not link it with any tribal issue. This is purely a bandit activities is a script, maybe to disunite the country, and as such, all of us must be seen to be more committed to ensure that those people are being exposed in any angle, in any form, so that at the end of the day, the government can also find it.
Yes, we know, but the argument also was that because of this desertification, some of these people have become jobless. Some of those who grew up to become herdsmen, their families probably were herdsmen from generation to generation that lived with that. But then they've become jobless because of the reality of geography and climate. And so because of that, they are angry, they have no jobs, they have nothing to do. They become recruited, as it were, into bands that do evil.
A lot of evils are being played in the country, honestly. Mr. Sam, there are a lot of things going on. It's just that sometimes you just see, the more you see, the more you talk, and the more a lot of things come to play again, and you just begin to get dumbfounded the more. So that's just it.
No, they discussed, for instance, they arrested one, and they said he had the bulletproof.
Where is he from?
Well, I don't remember the full story of that.
That's the story.
Yes,
sometimes you find
they arrested some 10 men.
Some of them are even from the Benue. They are even the Benue people committing some of these atrocities. And they get arrested and you don't get to hear the stories.
How does a government operate without transparency? Man, they have arrested some people, they have killed some people. Now, why don't you transparently tell us, this is where this person is from, this is where we trace this activity to? Our intelligence is dead.
That's why
it's either that our intelligence is dead or our intelligence is incompetent.
That's part of the reason I said there are a lot of politics being played at the expense political. That's why I say this is clearly a blind politics being played at the expense of innocent Nigerians' life. An injury to one must be seen to be injury for all. Just the case of what is happening in Zamfara State, the way now begin to accuse it is the reprisal attack coming from the Benue State to attack those other House of Fulani who reside in Zamfara. So you can now see what happens in Mambila. Nobody is even talking about that, where you have over 700 and something casualties at a blow.
Yes.
But there was no much agenda, there was no much propaganda, there was no much news, like the case we have in Benue State.
Yes, but
whose interest is that?
Yes, but they say again that some of these things are militias, that the people are trying to arm themselves in order to defend themselves.
I'm sure there was a story recently that even the government itself, the Taraba government and even that of the Benue State, give some young men arms.
Yes.
And what are you supposed to call it? I don't know, militias. Yes. Supposing they look for a way and they wanted to do something. Ordinarily on their own, they could abolish terror on innocent people.
Yeah, but they say, well, if the state does not provide security for me, why should I not provide security for myself?
Which constitution do we operate that gives anybody reason to encourage young men who are not trained?
Why would the president himself say that embrace your neighbors? Those are the kind of language that have created that sense of, okay, if they are not, anybody is not going to take care of me, I take care of myself.
By killing other innocent people?
What? The innocent people have been killed. 73 people who were killed were innocent.
Do we encourage that?
We don't. That's why we go back to Balatakaya statement that, look, the security people should take care of this matter so that we don't get into a state of nature.
We're gradually getting into that. But I think the government, they are still working.
Now talking of a state of nature, you almost created one yourself when you said the Igbos should leave the north.
There are a lot of things behind that. A lot of things in the sense that no normal child will just fold his hand, and also somebody just came out, even though it has been misinterpreted by so many people. But the fact of the matter is that, one, everybody know I'm not a violent. I've been in popular struggle from the days of Nadeko to today. I've never been violent in my struggle, and I've been involved in many popular struggles until I get to where I am. I have never been violent. Even when I have other people who believe in taking arms, I've never taken arms. And I lead an organization of over millions youths in northern part of the country, both even in southern part of the country and even the northern part of the country. What happens in the case of the issue of Igbo, the IPOB, I won't say Igbo in this case, the IPOB and even the northern youth was as a result of certain things were happening, and we realized that there is this sit-down look attitude that had been applied by the Igbo. To us, we felt it was a collective conspiracy.
What is sit-down look?
Sit-down look by the leaders in the Igbo land, where a young man just woke up one day. I've never known him. That's why when I talk, I say a young man, because I'm not talking about age-wise. In terms of struggle, we have met with a lot of people who are almost on our contemporaries. Like the Masop, I've been there, and I've always, to an extent, for the past 7 years, I think, yearly I go for their Ojukwu Memorial lectures, and I'm one of the key guests often. Yearly I do that every November. For Masop. So all of a sudden, 2 years ago, you found a young man who just come out from somewhere, who break out from the massive struggle and suddenly become very wild and violent. I am not against self-determination, but when a man gets to his own angle and create his own enclave and begin to look at my entire identity and abuse my entire identity by calling them animals, that's why we live in a zoo where we have a brother today leading us. No normal child, unless that child is a bastard. And to us, we don't find that funny. If you have problem with the government, talk to the government. If you have problem with an individual within the government circles, you can call the name and abuse him. But in a case where you look at my entire identity and said my entire identity are these animals, no normal child will tolerate that. And for that reason, we'll say, okay, if that is what you want, in the 1966, 67, there was a civil war. And this was how it started. There was the case of Rwanda, where I said, please don't take us to that level. If you want to go, we did not stop anybody from allowing you to go. In fact, go through the proper channel. In fact, when we make our findings, we realize that at no time even those agitating for their own republic, at no time they even go through the normal processes of going to UN and do all the needful. And we are saying, we understand that our constitution, truly, there was no place where they allowed for a referendum. And we are saying, okay, if you are seeking for a referendum, truly you are seeking for a referendum, go through the proper channel. In fact, we will advocate for you. We will ensure that we draw the attention of the international community for them to create an exit way for you through the referendum so that you can go easily. Then we can now put it on ground. We will know those who believe in background struggle, but don't generally abuse our identity. Then at the end of the day, your leaders back home, none of them is talking. You are threatening the unity of the country. You are threatening our people. You are abusing our people. Even when it was obvious, he was working on a script to ensure that there is total disunity. There should be anarchy in the land, because he has demonstrated that lately before the army took over. We saw it, and we saw the action. When the saga was on, when we now realized that people, after we make that statement, we begin to get calls from our traditional rulers prevailing on us, calls from northern governors prevailing, even the presidency, some of them were reaching, and even
prevailing on you to do what?
To have a rethink.
A think of?
On this issue of Igbo should quietly.
No, but did you not know? When
there was no threat of any violence. That's the truth.
You don't know. The word itself was violent. Saying that, leave. And you gave them ultimatum. Ultimatum failing. No.
Yes.
Leave October 1, 2017. Failing that, what will happen?
We wrote later and explained the detail to the federal government clearly. That's why you see
No. What is the detail?
The detail was that we never meant any violence. There was no violence. But we are saying from now to that October.
What if you did not change your... If you did not change your dead, if you did not leave the deadline, and they did not
what
leave.
We did go far to expose the struggle that this guy is fraud. That was what we did. At the end of the day, you could see prominent Igbo coming out, the Ohaneses, the governors, for the first time, coming out to say they are not part of this young man madness. It's a plus to the country. At the end of the day, we
Who's the young
succeeded.
man's madness?
The-
People
the
thought that it was
Apple
two young men that were mad. That Nnamdi Kanu is a young man who is mad,
They
and
know me,
there's
I'm not
another
mad.
madman on
No,
the
no,
north.
but they know I'm not mad. I'm very organized and
That's
objective.
what they thought.
That's an individual.
Because they saw that if you say you are giving them a deadline, take it for as this scenario. It's October 1, leave. October 1 comes, they don't leave.
We were-
What were you going to do?
There was
and there
nothing-
was
we
no,
did not-
there
we
was
did not
no
make-
persuasion. There was no.
We did not make any statement that will warrant any violence. And don't forget, because we're in total control of the situation. 25th of August, after so many consultations
Yes.
by our leaders and so many people who said, look, let us not allow people to take advantage of this to unleash terror on innocent Nigerians. We saw reasons.
How
Our
did you
own
decide?
was-
But how did you come to decide first? Before we come to that, I'm coming to that. How did you come to decide that you were going to give this ultimatum?
It came all of a sudden when we realized that one
Who are the
unity- it was a coalition which I led as the chairman of that
Yes,
coalition, over
yes.
16 organizations.
Yes.
There was a need to call the man there in the East to order. And we realized the best way you can do is to draw attention, is to, one, make a statement for the whole country to realize that, look, this guy is getting out of hand. Because one, he's asking that if you don't allow him to go, one, there will not be election in Anambra. Part of what we did was what finally allows for the election in Anambra State. You cannot hold a nation such as Nigeria to ransom. No reasonable country will encourage that. Even though we saw some people, we thought they are very decent and decent people. At the end of the day, they key behind him. They encouraged him to do what he was doing because of politics. A young man was out there saying that if you don't allow us to go, we will ensure that what is happening in Rwanda or in place like, is it Mali, or he made mention of one country, that would be a child's play compared to what will happen in Nigeria. I was never part of the
But
civil
you
war that
were-
happens during the... I'm getting
In
somewhere.
1960s, yeah.
In 1960, I wasn't born then, but we had the history. It was uncalled for. So to avert the future one, now that this young man is calling for, the best you can do is to begin to say, oh, no, no, don't take us to war. We made the statement very clear. In fact, we make it in a very simple language that people will understand. We didn't meant very violent. We didn't attack. Even when our people were attacked at the injury time, after we
Yes.
withdrew repugnances,
Yes.
we had to run to
It happened
Kano.
in the East.
It happened in the East. They killed, maim our people,
Yes.
over 80.
I was
from
afraid
what
there was
we
going
had
to be explosion in the north.
We run back to, I had to carry the group, we went back to Kano.
So you know,
We
that
addressed
you were
this.
actually working on a very thin line when you make
Depends
that.
on how
that
people look at it.
That any little thing
Would have.
I could call explosion.
So
And
we
can-
did our
will
best, we did our best.
Return to the massacre
Exactly.
of the 1960s.
Which is what we are avoiding. So we had to run down to Kano. We addressed, in fact, to even buttress our point, was why we mobilized young people, Hausa children. They wear Igbo cloth with bead and everything, dancing on the street of Kano. And that is what even killed. As he is attacking, we are saying no reprisal attack. For God's sake,
People
for
were
God's
saying
sake,
that it was not just the youths that were given the
what?
ultimatum, that the powerful northern oligarchs
We are not
who were
aware
behind
that.
you.
No,
And
not
you
what
were just there to give the
That's
word
not
when
true.
they were propping you.
Mr. Sam, that's not true.
Because when you gave that and the order was given for your arrest, nobody came to arrest you. You were
What-
still there
what
moving
did-
around.
what did we
You
do
remember
to
I
have
wrote,
an
I said,
arrest?
why were you moving around? What were you doing?
You asked me.
Yes, I asked you.
There was no reason to arrest us. What did we do? That we said we are truly Nigerians. We are proudly Nigerians, that we will not allow somebody to undermine
No, you are trying to
the unity
you are
of this
trying
country.
to tell some people who are also Nigerians that they have no right to stay in a particular part
That's
of the
not
country.
true. That's
And
not true.
Because you had
That's
no
why
evidence.
there was an
because you were
opportunity for us to explain.
you are wrapping up all Igbos into one particular basket. Not all of them believed in IPOP, so you cannot discriminate. Some people were
But a
working
lot of them
peacefully
came out
and
because-
making money,
because
and they just say,
because they misunderstood us, eventually, incidentally, a lot of them came out to say, look, we are not part of MASOP. That was what brought the end of the whole show. We thought he was speaking for the entire Igbo, but at the end of the day, we realized, no, he wasn't. That struggle was just organized by just few individuals and a lot of jobless youth who were just behind the young man. And he paraded himself as if he speaks for the Igbo. We see prominent Igbos coming out, the governors of Southeast, the organizations such as Ohanese, even Ohanese Youth Council, they came on board and other prominent Igbo sons to say, look, we are not part of this young man, we don't believe in it. And that was what brought us to where we are today. Today, you could see that struggle is unpopular. You can do it in the British or somewhere where they have their flags, but you can't do it in the country. To an extent, we deserve an award
What?
Patriotic Nigerians.
Almost bringing the country to a brink.
We did it because we know what we were doing.
Oh,
We
so
were
you
fools. We're
brought it
educated enough.
out of the brink by bringing it close to the brink.
Sometimes
Is that what you're
some
saying?
abnormal things come up with abnormal approaches. But it's unfortunate that we've been misunderstood. I said if there was an interior motive to descend on an innocent person, I couldn't have appeared openly.
You must know Femi Falana since you have been in the
Femi Falana was a senior comrade.
He said, look, this man is asking people to leave the north and he has a house here in Lagos.
I have a house in Lagos because I'm a Nigerian, but the fact of the matter is
But some people have houses in Kano and Kaduna who are
exactly.
there. Yeah.
He is from Ekiti State.
Yes.
Why is he today?
It's in Lagos. He didn't ask people
all
from
his life.
Lagos to leave. He didn't ask people to leave Ekiti land.
But
he didn't ask anybody to leave Ekiti. You're asking people to leave your...
Somebody somewhere did something wrong. There was a need for somebody to also call him to order and tell him that this is not the way to approach issues.
So you're a Lagosian. So you can say you're a Lagosian too.
I was not born in Lagos, but I schooled in Lagos.
Where did you school?
Lasso.
Really?
Yes, I schooled in Lasso and I read pub administration, public administration.
Yeah.
That's what I read.
So
to an extent, I have a house in Lagos, I have a family, but that does not make me a Lagosian because if I come out
I
today...
also heard that you're also married to a Southerner. Is that true?
That's true. I married from Calabar.
Yes, Calabar.
My first wife, my second wife from Kaduna.
Kaduna.
Yes. No reasonable patriotic Nigerian would fold his hand and allow that to get away with it. I expect that this cause should be championed by all Nigerians, where the unity of this country is being undermined, where the unity of this country is being threatened. I am a pan-Nigeria, and on that I stand. People, that is why it was difficult for people to reconcile my antecedents. And that's what has happened at that time. People say, the Herdsmen we know that we've been part of the struggle. That's what the same thing Femi Falana was talking about. That the man he knows they've been together. Based in Lagos. But he makes the point that I have an identity. That I stay in Lagos does not make me a Lagos man. I have a family, I have my parents, and I came from somewhere. Yeah. And you cannot undermine where I come from. You expect me to fold my hand as a youth leader. I can't accept that. And that's exactly what comes to play. But thank God it has come to pass.
Yes.
And I do not hold anything personally against Mr. Femi, but I responded to him equally the way he did.
I know,
and that was all.
I know you did. Well, what do you think will happen if Buhari has said he has not decided whether to run or not? What do you think? Do you think he should run? Or
Well, advisably, because it is his constitutional right to contest if he chooses to. But it is left for Nigerians also to look, does he what's coming back or not?
Do you think he should come back?
Advisably, if you ask me, I would have asked him. He has done his best.
That he should.
He has an integrity. He still have more integrity. He should bow out if need be. That's my advice to him. But if he chooses to go ahead, okay, well, so be it. Best luck. Best of luck.
Okay. Well, we have been on Big Talk, very interesting and sometimes tempestuous conversation with Yerima Shetima, the president of Arawa Youth Consultative Forum. It's been an interesting show. Thank you very much for being on my show.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. Thank you so much.
That is the program this week. You can catch up with me on Twitter. My handle is @SamOmashe. Also visit my website, www.samomashe.com, where you can read my column in full. And I will see you again next week. And until then, be good.